The year was 2199, and humanity had long been ready to leave the cradle of Earth and venture into the unknown with their crude ships and unpolished technology. They had only just begun to explore the vastness of space, but their efforts were far from unnoticed by the cosmic community. Alien civilizations had already mapped the stars and watched with detached curiosity as humans sent their first primitive probes into the abyss. What no one could have anticipated was how quickly humanity would change the game with its ingenuity. The first encounter came not as a sudden shock, but as a quiet ripple. The Pax knew an ancient and enlightened species made contact with Earth through an encrypted message intercepted by human satellites. Their appearance was nothing like what Earth had expected. They were beings of translucent skin and shimmering light, their bodies humbling yet magnificent. They claimed to have watched humanity for centuries and had come to offer knowledge and guidance to help them avoid the traps that other civilizations before them had fallen into. It was a peaceful offer, one of cultural exchange and technological enlightenment. The Pax knew were ancient and wise, their society based on shared knowledge and perfect harmony, yet they viewed humanity with a kind of detached superiority. The Pax knew believed that the human race was on the brink of greatness, but still too primitive to understand its place in the galaxy. They offered to guide humanity's progress and help them join the galactic community, but the Pax knew didn't understand what made humans so dangerous. The first meeting took place in Earth's orbit. A fleet of shimmering Pax Nu ships arrived with their graceful forms illuminating the darkness of space. Their arrival was heralded by a spectacle of lights and sounds that left Earth's leaders in awe. They came with ambassadors who could speak the universal language of all species, but their message was simple and clear. We have come to help you, we have watched your progress, and are here to guide you into the stars. Humanity was invited to join the Galactic Federation, a promise of peace, prosperity, and unity. Yet from the moment of their arrival, something gnawed at humanity's core, a feeling of unease. Their ships were beautiful but strangely distant. Their manner was patient but unyielding. They offered solutions, but no questions, and that was where humanity saw the first cracks. Humanity had always been independent from the start. They had risen from nothing to become a force to be reckoned with, not through the gift of advanced technology, but by their own will. Their persistence had driven them to the stars, not as passive participants, but as active explorers ready to shape their own destiny. The Pax Nu spoke of a galactic federation built on cooperation, but they never asked if humanity wanted to join. They never asked if Earth would accept their terms. They had come with a plan already set in motion. They had come to show humanity the path they thought was best, but they had failed to see that the humans had a different vision of the future. They weren't ready to simply follow in the footsteps of the Pax Nu or any other civilization for that matter. Humanity had a different kind of ambition, a desire not just to survive, but to thrive on their own terms, and with that unshakable resolve, humanity would soon show the galaxy that they had far more to offer than anyone could imagine. As the Pax Nu continued their diplomatic outreach, humanity found itself at a crossroads. A series of discussions and debates began to rage among Earth's leaders about the true nature of the Pax Nu's offer. The promise of peace and prosperity was appealing, but at the same time there was a creeping doubt. Something about their intentions didn't sit right with humanity's core values. For centuries, humans had fought to build their civilization without the crutch of advanced alien technology, instead relying on their own resourcefulness, their own mind, and their own innovation. But even the most stubborn leaders knew that they could not ignore the changing tides of galactic power. While Earth's diplomats debated the terms of the Pax Nu's offer, a group of scientists on a secluded moon base were working on a project that could change everything. A small faction of human engineers and physicists, led by Dr. Robert Calloway, had been given the task of solving a problem that had haunted mankind for decades: how to push the boundaries of human technology beyond what anyone had imagined. Their goal was simple but near impossible: to achieve a weapon capable of overcoming the limitations of conventional military power in a universe where alien species wielded superior technologies and incomprehensible weaponry. The answer came in the form of the railgun. The idea itself was far from new. Electromagnetic acceleration had been theorized for centuries, But it was an idea far beyond the reach of Earth's technology. Even the most advanced nations had abandoned it as too impractical, too costly, and too dangerous. But the scientists on the moon base refused to accept failure. They spent years studying the possibilities, experimenting with powerful magnets and superconductors, until one fateful day the breakthrough came: a working model capable of firing projectiles at speeds approaching the speed of light was achieved. It was a moment of brilliance born from humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, innovate, and refuse to be bound by the limitations of their environment. Within the isolated lab, the first successful test of the railgun took place. The chamber hummed with energy as electromagnetic pulses surged through the system. The target, a large metal plate several kilometers away, was torn apart by the impact of a single projectile, traveling faster than any human had ever imagined. Before, what was once thought to be impossible was now reality. The railgun had arrived. The implications were immediate and monumental. No longer would humanity need to rely on conventional firearms or outdated weaponry to defend themselves. They now had a weapon capable of piercing the most advanced shields and armor with ease. It was a weapon that could turn the tide of any battle from a distance beyond the reach of most adversaries. It was a weapon that could stand toe-to-toe with any fleet of warships and strike with deadly precision from across the stars. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity had not only mastered space travel, but had developed a technology that could rival the most advanced species in the galaxy. At first, the news of the weapon's success was kept secret, but the engineers knew that humanity could not afford to hide their newfound power forever. Soon the military became aware of the breakthrough, and it was only a matter of time before the railgun technology was deployed on Earth's orbital defense stations. With each passing day, more stations were equipped with the railgun systems, and humanity's once fragile position in the galaxy was slowly shifting to one of unanticipated strength. The Paxnu's arrival had been met with an invitation, but the galaxy would soon learn that humans were not so easily guided by others. They would carve their own path to the stars, and they would do it with a weapon the galaxy had never seen before. The Paxnu were patient, but even they could feel the undercurrent of distrust rising from Earth as the weeks passed. Their attempts at establishing peaceful relations and furthering their alliance were met with subtle hesitations. Their diplomatic envoys noticed the cold silence that followed every offer they made. Humans were not inclined to bend their will so easily, and the Paxnu knew that this resistance was not one they could ignore for long. Across the galaxy, rumors began to circulate of an unusual development on Earth, something beyond the usual technological advancements of humanity. Whispers of a new weapon capable of piercing shields and destroying entire fleets began to spread like wildfire through the intelligence networks of galactic powers. No one was certain at first if the rumors were true, but they were certainly unnerving to those who had grown accustomed to their position of dominance in the stars. The Sorvak Empire, the most powerful military force in the galaxy, took special interest in these reports. The Sorvak were a calculating and ruthless race, whose expansion had been unchecked for centuries. They were known for their unrelenting pursuit of power and control, and they had no interest in seeing a fledgling species like humanity upset the balance of power. They viewed the Paxnu's offer of peaceful cooperation as a threat to their own authority, and began making moves to curb humanity's rise before it could become a problem. The Sorvak envoys arrived on Earth under the guise of diplomatic negotiations, but their true purpose was clear. They demanded access to humanity's new technology. With the cold calculation of a predator eyeing its prey, they were not interested in peace. They were interested in control. The message they sent was blunt and brutal: comply with our terms, or face the consequences. Earth was faced with a choice: submit to the might of the Sorvak, or risk everything by refusing. The Paxnu tried to intervene. Their diplomats rushed to Earth in an attempt to mediate, but it was too late. The Sorvak had already made their intentions clear, and their threats were not idle. Humanity had never been one to kneel before a foreign power, and this time would be no different. The decision was made: Earth would not bow to the Sorvak Empire or anyone else, but the cost would be great. In the depths of Earth's military command centers, Plans were set into motion, preparations were made for a confrontation that was inevitable. Humans had no intention of losing, but they understood the risks. The Sorvak were powerful and well-prepared, their fleets were vast, and their weaponry superior. But Earth had something they didn't expect, a weapon of their own that could challenge even the might of the Sorvak's warships. The Railguns had been tested and perfected in secret, but now it was time to see if they could be the key to humanity's survival and their entry into the galactic stage, no longer as a weak and unworthy species, but as a force capable of defending its home and standing against the greatest powers the galaxy had ever seen. With the first signs of aggression from the Sorvak fleet on the edge of Earth's space, the moment of truth arrived. Humanity was ready for war, not because they wanted it, but because they had no other choice. Their railguns would soon test their mettle against the might of an empire that had never known defeat, and the galaxy would soon realize that humanity had more than just the will to survive, they had the power to fight back. It began with a single signal, a warning from the outer edges of Earth's solar system. The Sorvak fleet, vast and menacing, had crossed the threshold of Earth's defensive perimeter. Their ships, sleek and formidable, glided through the black void, their engines casting long shadows on the distant stars. Each vessel was equipped with advanced shielding and weaponry capable of leveling planets, their designs the product of millennia of refinement. They were the epitome of military power, and they believed that nothing in the galaxy could stop them. Humanity, on the other hand, was no longer the small, defenseless species they had once been. Earth's surface may have been vulnerable, but humanity had prepared for this day with a secret weapon that no one, not even the Pax, knew, could have predicted: the railguns. They had been built in silence, out of sight, on orbital defense platforms placed far above the world, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy. The first strike came not in the form of an explosion or a flash of light, but in the eerie stillness of space. As the Sorvak fleet positioned itself within range, Earth's first orbital defense platform powered up, its massive railgun arrays coming to life with a low hum. The crew stationed at the station had spent years preparing for this moment, and now it was time to unleash humanity's greatest weapon. The railgun fired with terrifying precision. A single, sleek projectile was launched into space, its speed so fast that it seemed almost invisible to the naked eye. The Sorvak fleet, unaware of what was coming, moved forward with their usual arrogance. But the railgun's trajectory was flawless. The target locked perfectly. In the span of a heartbeat, the projectile collided with the Leave Sorvak warship, a colossal vessel meant to strike fear into the heart of any enemy. The results were catastrophic. The force of the impact sent shockwaves through space, reverberating outwards as the Sorvak ship shattered into 1,000 pieces. The explosion wasn't just a burst of energy, it was an obliteration, a puncture in the very fabric of the warship itself. The debris scattered across space like falling stars, a testament to the devastating power of humanity's invention. The railgun's impact had been so precise and devastating that it tore through the ship's shields, its armor, and its internal structures, leaving nothing but a cloud of fragments and molten metal behind. The other Sorvak ships reacted with horror. They had never seen a weapon like this before, and in their arrogance, they had underestimated humanity's resolve. The fleet scrambled to reposition, sending out a wave of defensive fire, but it was too late. One by one, the orbital platforms fired, each shot more accurate and deadly than the last. The railguns, mounted on various stations in Earth's orbit, fired in perfect synchrony, their projectiles tearing through the Sorvak armada with relentless fury. The second Sorvak warship fell within moments, then the third and the fourth. The fleet, once a mighty symbol of Sorvak power, was now reduced to a scattered group of burning wrecks. The remaining Sorvak ships tried to flee, their retreating engines burning with desperation, but humanity was relentless. They fired again and again, their railguns cutting through the Sorvak vessels with brutal efficiency. It was as if the galaxy itself was watching in disbelief, unable to comprehend the speed and ferocity with which humanity had struck. The battle didn't last long, but its consequences were immense. The Sorvak, once certain of their dominance over the galaxy, had been humbled, their fleet shattered by a species they had written off as insignificant. The shockwaves of this victory rippled throughout the galaxy, sending a clear message to anyone watching. Humanity was no longer just a curious species in the galaxy. They were a force to be reckoned with. As the remnants of the Sorvak fleet limped away, Earth stood victorious, and the Paxnu were left in stunned silence. The galaxy had just witnessed the birth of a new power, one that wielded not just technology, but the unwavering will to survive and fight back against those who thought themselves invincible. And for humanity, this was only the beginning. The battle over, the remnants of the Sorvak fleet limped into deep space, broken and disoriented, as if the entire empire had been shaken to its core. Earth's victory over the once invincible fleet had sent shockwaves across the galaxy, its reverberations felt on every corner of the known universe. No one had expected humanity to possess such power, and now the entire galaxy was left scrambling to make sense of what had just occurred. The Paxnu, those calm and collected observers, were the first to act. Their fleet, once poised in Earth's orbit, now turned to leave, their departure as quiet as their arrival. Despite their peaceful intentions, their confidence had cracked. They had thought humanity could be gently guided into the galactic fold, but now they saw something different. A species with its own ambitions, one not willing to be molded by the hands of others. They didn't understand it. They had never been able to comprehend the human drive to forge their own path, especially not with the raw power they had just demonstrated. While the Paxnu withdrew to their distant worlds, the galaxy at large began to process what had just happened. News of humanity's victory spread faster than light, carried by ships and communication networks that spanned hundreds of light years. The universe had always known that Earth was capable of innovation, but the Railgun, the weapon capable of shattering the largest and most powerful warships, was something entirely new. There was no race in the galaxy that had mastered such technology, and it terrified the galactic powers that had long ruled with an iron grip. Soon, the first of many messages arrived. It wasn't the Paxnu that humanity heard from next. It was the Sorvak. What remained of their fleet sent a transmission, its message filled with cold rage. They demanded an explanation, a justification for what had occurred, but there was no offer of surrender or peaceful resolution. They were, after all, the Sorvak, a people who never backed down from a fight, no matter the cost. Earth's response was swift and resolute. The railguns mounted in orbit were ready, but humanity chose not to fire. Not yet. Instead, Earth sent a message back to the Sorvak, a message that would forever alter their perception of humanity. We will not be ruled, and we will not be intimidated. If you come for us again, we will show you what true power looks like. That message, brief and to the point, was a declaration. The Sorvak had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity, and now they had to decide whether they were prepared for the consequences. Earth had proven that it could defend itself, that it could stand toe-to-toe with the greatest military force in the galaxy and emerge victorious. But what the galaxy had failed to understand was that humanity had no intention of becoming a mere military power. They had far more to offer than just destruction. They had the will to shape their own future, to take their place among the stars, not as subjects, but as equal participants in the grand design of the universe. Meanwhile, other races watched in awe and fear. The Krelgar, a brutal warrior race, saw opportunity in Earth's rise, and they began to form alliances with smaller, oppressed species. The Threll, a peaceful race of scholars, felt a growing unease as they watched the political balance of the galaxy begin to shift. Those who once ruled with unquestioned dominance now looked at humanity with suspicion, and their message was clear. Humanity had made an enemy of the wrong species. Despite the growing unease, one truth became undeniable. Humanity had carved out its place in the galaxy. What began as a species barely capable of interstellar travel was now feared and respected, and their railgun technology had turned the tide of the cosmic game. The once quiet planet Earth had changed the galaxy forever, and its power was just beginning to reveal itself. As the galaxy trembled at the implications of humanity's victory, one thing became certain: Earth had not just survived. It had shattered the old order and become a force to be reckoned with, a force that would no longer be ignored. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The aftermath of the Sorvak defeat had left the galaxy in a state of unprecedented uncertainty. For millennia, the Sorvak had been the unchallenged hegemon of the stars, their fleets sweeping across space with an unrelenting will. But now, in a single strike, humanity had shattered that illusion of invincibility. No one knew how to respond, not even the Pax knew, who had once seen themselves as the wise custodians of galactic peace. The Krelgar, ever the opportunists, saw a window opening for their own rise to power. The Krelgar were a brutish, militaristic species whose endless war campaigns had earned them a reputation for cruelty. They had long been watching humanity with a calculating eye, intrigued by the effectiveness of the railgun, and wondering if such power could be wielded in their favor. Despite their fierce nature, the Krelgar were pragmatic. If humanity could defeat the Sorvak, perhaps they could become useful allies or potential tools to help them crush their own enemies. Whispers of Krelgar emissaries arrived in Earth's communications channels, offering alliances, trade agreements, and promises of mutual defense. But humanity had learned a harsh lesson in the aftermath of the Sorvak battle. Alliances, when made with the wrong intentions, could be just as dangerous as enemies. Earth's leaders knew they couldn't afford to fall under the influence of a species as ruthless as the Krelgar. At the same time, the Threll, the peaceful scholars who had watched humanity's rise from the sidelines, began to approach Earth with a different offer. Unlike the Krelgar, the Threll saw potential for cooperation, not conquest. They believed that the railgun wasn't just a weapon, but a symbol of human potential, an understanding of physics and energy that could unlock even greater discoveries. The Threll proposed a cultural exchange, a sharing of knowledge that could lead to scientific and technological breakthroughs for both races. Humanity, weary of the political games being played by the more powerful galactic species, listened carefully, wondering if the Threll's peaceful intentions could be the key to forging a new path forward. But no offer, no matter how peaceful, could quell the growing tension in the galaxy. It wasn't just the Krelgar or the Threll. It was every race that had long held dominion over the stars. They were watching, waiting, and calculating, unsure of what to make of a species that had just revealed the ability to strike down a fleet as formidable as the Sorvaks. They began to ask themselves, what if humanity's rise wasn't just a fluke? What if they had something more to offer than a mere weapon? Soon, Earth became the focal point of galactic diplomacy. Powerful species, some benevolent, others bent on domination, began sending their envoys to Earth to negotiate, to investigate, and to assess just what humanity's next move would be. In this new landscape, Earth's leaders knew they had to be strategic. They understood that while the railgun was a symbol of power, it was not the only advantage they had. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't just its weapons or its innovations. It was its unpredictable nature. Humans had an unrelenting drive to push the boundaries of what was possible, and that spirit of discovery, of refusal to be pigeonholed, was what made them so dangerous. The galaxy's powerful elites were starting to realize this, but it was a realization that would come at a price. On the galactic stage, Earth began to play its cards carefully, refusing to be drawn into the petty conflicts and alliances that had once dictated the fate of civilizations. Instead, humanity positioned itself as a neutral power, extending an invitation to any species that wished to engage in trade, scientific exchange, or peaceful diplomacy. But beneath that diplomatic facade, Earth was preparing for the inevitable. Another battle. The galaxy was filled with powerful empires, and not all of them were content to share the stars. Humanity's railgun technology had proven it was capable of defending itself, But Earth's leaders knew that it wasn't enough. They needed more. They needed the galaxy to understand that humanity was no longer a passive player in galactic politics. It was a force of its own, one that could shift the balance of power with a single decision. The first phase of humanity's new military strategy was already in motion. Earth's fleet was being upgraded, enhanced with railgun systems and other classified technologies. Humanity wasn't just preparing to survive, they were preparing to thrive. The message was clear to all who were watching. Earth had taken its place on the galactic stage, and it was not about to back down. The shifting balance of power had only just begun, and the universe was about to witness the next chapter in humanity's rise. The months following Earth's victory over the Sorvak were a whirlwind of diplomatic maneuvering, technological exchanges, and military preparations. The galaxy had not been so unsettled in centuries, and humanity's emergence as a new power had created ripples that would soon grow into waves of conflict. Every major race in the galaxy began reassessing their position in relation to the human species, and most did so with suspicion or outright hostility. No one could afford to ignore what humanity had done, defeating the Sorvak, once thought to be invincible, with a weapon that defied everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare. The Krelgar, with their brutal and aggressive nature, continued to wash Earth with a mix of intrigue and wariness. They had extended their offers of alliance, but humanity's rejection had left them angry and frustrated. They knew they could not bully Earth into submission like they had done with other races, but that didn't mean they were willing to let the humans thrive without challenging them. Their pride could not allow for such a massive shift in the galactic hierarchy. The Krelgar began mobilizing their war fleets, increasing their patrols along the outer rim of Earth's territories. They had begun to prepare for the worst, a conflict with humanity. Meanwhile, the Threll, with their focus on knowledge and diplomacy, saw Earth's rise as an opportunity for peace and mutual advancement. They were determined to keep the momentum of cooperation going, seeing the humans as potential partners in uncovering the deepest mysteries of the universe. Yet, even as the Threll reached out with open hands, they too understood the looming threat of those like the Krelgar. The galaxy was a powder keg, and humanity was now a match that could ignite it. In the shadows, far beyond the reach of diplomatic efforts, a darker force began to take shape. The Sorvak Empire, though severely crippled by the loss of their fleet, was not entirely defeated. Their rulers, now humiliated and enraged by the failure, began to rebuild in secret. Their ambitions had not died with their ships. They had only been driven into hiding. What remained of their once proud military-industrial complex was quietly reassembling itself, and new ships, newer technologies, and new weapons were being constructed. The Sorvak, who had once believed themselves untouchable, were now quietly planning their revenge. The first signs of this new Sorvak resurgence came when one of their most powerful warlords, Knothar, made his presence known on the galactic stage. He was a calculating leader, one who had risen through the ranks during the early years of the Sorvak Empire, known for his ruthlessness and strategic brilliance. Knothar was not content to be overshadowed by humanity's sudden rise. His words were venomous as he declared to the galaxy that the Sorvak would reclaim their position as the dominant force, and that no insignificant species like humanity would stand in their way. To the other powers, Knothar's declaration was a cause for concern. It wasn't just a boast. It was a signal that the Sorvak were preparing to wage war once again. And this time, they had more than just their old weapons at their disposal. They had the benefit of their time in hiding, perfecting new strategies, and incorporating their own intelligence on humanity's railgun technology into their military designs. The galaxy began to brace itself for another war, but this time, humanity was not the underdog. Earth was a rising star in a galaxy of powers, and everyone knew that the first blow struck in this new war could change the entire course of history. In Earth's military command centers, the response was swift. The railgun was no longer the only asset in humanity's arsenal. Earth had been investing heavily in new technologies, researching ways to harness the immense power of quantum energy, and refining strategies for interstellar warfare. But more than technology, humanity's greatest weapon was its sheer determination. The memory of their victory over the Sorvak fleet still burned bright in their minds. They knew the galaxy would never look at them the same way again, and that's exactly how they wanted it. Humanity's next move would not be one of desperation. It would be one of calculated power. Earth had learned that diplomacy alone would not secure its place in the stars. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and even if they had the railgun, even if they had the technology, they could not afford to be complacent. Earth was not just defending its right to exist, it was preparing to assert its will on the cosmic stage. As the galaxy once again descended into an uncertain future, the only certainty was that humanity had changed the course of history. Whether the Krelgar, the Sorvak, or any of the other powers were ready to accept it, Earth's time had come. The next phase of the galactic struggle was about to begin, and this time, humanity would be the one calling the shots. The galaxy stood on the precipice of a new era, one shaped by the actions of a species that had once been overlooked, considered too fragile and too young to challenge the powers that had reigned supreme for millennia. Humanity, through determination, innovation, and sheer will, had changed the game, and there was no going back. As the galaxy braced for the coming storm, Earth's leaders knew that this was only the beginning of their journey to reshape the cosmos. The Krelgar were the first to strike, their war fleets descending upon the outer colonies of humanity, eager to test the mettle of this new power. But Earth's military was no longer a defensive force. It was a finely tuned war machine, prepared for battle on every front. The railguns, once humanity's greatest surprise, had evolved. Now they were just one of many weapons in a newly expanded arsenal. Earth had developed new energy shields capable of repelling the fiercest attacks, and their fleets, now reinforced with advanced AI and cutting-edge tactics, met the Krelgar in open space. The battle that followed was swift and brutal. The Krelgar, known for their savagery, attacked without hesitation, throwing everything they had at Earth's defense. But humanity had anticipated their tactics. The railguns cut through the Krelgar ships with surgical precision, while Earth's new fleet formations adapted to every move the Krelgar made. The battle was not one of pure strength, it was one of strategy, innovation, and adaptability. In the end, the Krelgar were forced to retreat, their forces shattered, and their fleet crippled. The Krelgar's retreat sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Their reputation as a dominant military force had been irrevocably tarnished. For the first time in millennia, a species had stood against them and won. The message was clear to all. Humanity was not a species to be underestimated. But the Krelgar were not the only ones watching. The Sorvak, their warlord Knuthar at the helm, had spent the months since their defeat rebuilding their strength in secret. They had prepared for this moment. Knothar's vengeance was swift and cruel, as he led the Sorvak fleet into a new campaign, determined to reclaim their former glory and punish humanity for its audacity. The Sorvak were more dangerous than ever, their ships now equipped with even more advanced technology, and their war strategies refined by the lessons learned from their previous failures. Humanity, however, was not caught off guard. They had been ready for the Sorvak's return. Earth's fleet had been bolstered by the lessons of the Krelgar conflict, and now humanity's technology was on the cutting edge of interstellar warfare. The railguns, once Earth's secret weapon, were now part of a broader, more sophisticated strategy. The battle for galactic dominance was about to enter a new phase, one that would be defined not by old alliances, but by the fierce will of those who sought to carve their own future in the stars. The Sorvak fleet clashed with Earth's forces at the fringes of the galaxy, and the resulting battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. The sheer scale of the conflict was mind-boggling, as entire fleets collided in the vacuum of space, each side bringing their best technology and their most experienced warriors to bear. But in the end, the outcome was the same. Humanity's railguns tore through the Sorvak ships once more, and despite their technological advancements, the Sorvak were unable to overcome the ingenuity and resolve of the human forces. Kenothar, ever the strategic mind, retreated, vowing that the Sorvak would return to reclaim their position. But humanity had once again proven that they were not to be dismissed. The galaxy watched, stunned, as Earth's fleets continued to dominate the battlefield. No longer was humanity just a single planet in a vast, indifferent universe. They were a force in their own right, a new power that had earned its place among the stars. In the aftermath of the battles, the galaxy began to take stock of what had transpired. The old order, dominated by the Sorvak, the Krelgar, and other long-established empires, had been shattered. A new balance of power had emerged, one where humanity held a central role. Earth's leaders knew that the road ahead would be difficult, that new challenges would arise, and old enemies would continue to circle like vultures. But they also knew that humanity had proven something the galaxy could never forget. They were no longer just a species struggling for survival. They were a force to be reckoned with, capable of shaping their own destiny. The galaxy had changed, and humanity had not only survived, it had thrived. The universe would never be the same again, for a new era had dawned, one where Earth and its people stood proudly at the helm, charting their course through the stars. And the galaxy, once ruled by fear and dominance, was now on the verge of a new age, one defined by the strength of humanity's spirit and the legacy of their rise.